Complete the most significant news for this day. Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Online sellers have become targets of online fake deposit slip scam. The Cybercrime Division of the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, warns the public on the new modus as the holiday season draws near. Maya Bermudez will tell us why.
As the holiday season started, shopping malls and markets are not the only hubs where consumers can spot sale items. For their own convenience, many Filipinos buy gifts and several items online. But some have fallen prey of counterfeiters. Now it's not only the buyers who become subjects of receiving fake and defective items in the world of online shopping. Even online sellers have become targets of fraudulent activities. Anna, a known seller of branded bags and shoes to celebrities, fell victim to such type of scam when a fake buyer sent her fake deposit slips and requested her to immediately deliver their chosen item. 200,000 pesos worth of luxury items fell into the hands of the said criminal.
Reseller siya kasi, so nagre-resell siya ng mga items mo. So, minsan nag-delay away, ganyan. So, partial lang yung payment. So, hindi mo iisipin talaga na scammer. Ang fault ko lang talaga doon, hindi ko na double check ng mabuti kung talagang pumasok yung amount na sinend niya. Kasi nga before, sa sobrang busy, parang hindi ko na kaugalian na mag-check lagi ng account online.
Just recently, another fake buyer attempted to get luxury items from Anna.
Pero yun naman, na-check ko naman kagad sa account ko na wala talagang pumasok. Tapos minsan naisip ko, baka delay lang yung online system, ganyan, ng bank. Pero ilang check ako yung iba pumapasok naman, so bakit yung kanya hindi pumasok? So, hindi talaga ako pumayag na. Sabi ko, sis walang pumasok na money.
The National Bureau of Investigation Cybercrime Division warns sellers to take caution in trusting their customers and avoid immediately delivering the items to consumers if payments are not yet verified. And always be wary if the customer wants fast transaction.
Dapat pagka nag-deposit sa'yo, you have to verify it with the bank. Kung totoong may na-deposit, huwag kang eager beaver na maniwala at isend. Kung pwede mo naman itanong sa bangko. Okay. Kapag ka kasi substantial yung amount, material sa'yo yung amount or yung value ng thing na binibenta mo, ganun din dapat kataas ang level of checks na ginagawa mo. Isa lang ang palagi nating sinasabi dyan, when it is too good to be true, it is not true. Pagka may laging sense of urgency, nagmamadali yung nagbebenta o yung bibili, yan ang first red flag.
NBI's data show that there are 500 cases of computer-related fraud or scam this year. But the numbers do not include incidences like what Anna has experienced.
And we encourage the public to file formal complaint with us. Dahil nga natututo din kami na may bagong modus operandi. Pangalawa, hindi naman lahat yan masosolve namin. Hindi namin mapangako na lahat masosolve yan. Ang masasabi lang namin, sooner or later, yung mga online scammers na yan, mahuhuli kasi hindi sila titigil.
Another sign of a fake online customer is if the buyer has minimal to zero activity on social media feed. That's why it's important to do background checks on accounts before trusting them your item. Maya Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Muntinlupa City.
Malacanang thanks Congress for approving the recommendation to extend martial law in Mindanao for another year. In a statement, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelos said that this development will help the government achieve progress in addressing rebellion and promote security and peace in the region. In a joint session earlier, 235 lawmakers voted to extend the military rule to December 31, 2019, while 23 objected with one abstention. The decision was in response to the requests of President Rodrigo Duterte, citing persisting rebellion in Mindanao and public safety as reasons.
We need more time to catch these people, to neutralize them, to reduce their capability to create trouble.
This is the third extension since President Duterte declared martial law in May of 2017 after the Maute terrorist group attacked Marawi City. Malacanang and the Commission on Elections believe that the extension of martial law in Mindanao will benefit both the conduct of the plebiscite and the 2019 midterm elections. The plebiscite will determine if residents are in favor of the passage of the BANGSAMORO organic law that will govern the proposed BANGSAMORO region. Members of the opposition have earlier expressed concern on the effects of martial law on debates concerning the establishment of the BANGSAMORO region.
From the point of view of election administration, nakabuti pa actually ang martial law kay Daniel, no? Yung presensya ng militar, it pacifies the area, and it minimizes yung mga attack ng mga dissident forces.
I do not see any relation. Well, what's the relation? In fact, martial law is even acceptable to the people of Mindanao precisely because the security is kept. If there will be a plebiscite, then people who would want to do something to derail the plebiscite will think twice because there is martial law. It's even helpful.
COMELEC plans to hold the plebiscite in the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao, Isabela City in Basilan, and in Cotabato City on January 21, 2019. A second plebiscite will be held in February in 19 barangays that wish to be included in the new BANGSAMORO region. Economic managers of the Duterte administration are determined to recommend to President Rodrigo Duterte to call for a special joint congressional session to pass the 3.7 trillion peso proposed national budget for 2019. According to Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno, the government will be forced to work on a reenacted budget if Congress fails to approve the proposal this year. Diokno says among the expected results of a reenacted budget would be a drop in the government disbursements by 220 billion pesos, which would impact government services and the country's gross domestic product. It will also cost jobs of hundreds of thousands of Filipino workers because of the contraction of government fund. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo believes that with the consequences mentioned, the president might concede and submit a request for a special joint session to Congress.
That is the recommendation of the economic managers if it will affect the government's expenses and services, then the president will be persuaded to grant the recommendation of the economic managers.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has issued a resolution ordering traffic law enforcers to apprehend Angkas drivers who will continue to ply on the roads. This is after the Supreme Court issued a temporary restraining order against a Mandaluyong court's decision in September that allowed the operation of motorcycle ride-hailing service Angkas to continue in Metro Manila. The Supreme Court's order states that the power and mandate of the LTFRB and the Department of Transportation should not be disregarded in terms of regulating all public utility vehicles operating in the country. In a joint statement, the DOTR and LTFRB welcomed the High Court's decision and insisted that they are only after the welfare and safety of the passengers. The Armed Forces of the Philippines will not recommend to President Rodrigo Duterte to suspend the military offensive operations against the Communist Party of the Philippines this holiday season, according to AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Edgar Arevalo. The military is not inclined to reciprocate the communist rebels' gesture to declare a 5-day truce in observance of the holiday season and their 50th founding anniversary. The CPP New People's Army ceasefire will begin on December 24 to December 26 and December 31 to January 1 of 2019. Arevalo says they are not contemplating a cessation of hostilities with the communist rebels because of their insincerity to the agreement.
We see that in the past they have not been sincere with any suspension of military operations. They continue with their terroristic and criminal activities, extortion, harassments.
Malacanang respects the decision of Time magazine to hail Rappler news site chief Maria Ressa as one of its Person of the Year. Ressa, whose website has been critical of the Duterte government, was among the journalists who were picked as Time's Person of the Year in a cover story headlined "The Guardians and the War on Truth."
It's the call of the awarding organization. It has its basis of awarding certain people. Certainly, we cannot intrude into that. It's not our turf. No, whether we agree or not, it doesn't matter. That's the award of a particular organization.
Time magazine also honored slain Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a critic of Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and Reuters journalist Wa Lone and Kiao So-u, who were convicted by Myanmar government for allegedly violating the Official Secrets Act when they first reported about the Rohingya crisis. Also honored was the staff of the Capital Gazette newspaper in Annapolis, Maryland, where a gunman shot and killed 5 people in June. Time said it chose to honor journalism at a time when the practice of critical democracy is under threat, both from governments and technological advances. Its annual distinction is intended to recognize the person, group, thing, or idea that had the greatest influence on world events that year.
It's a group of journalists who, simply by doing their jobs, are standing up for some of the most essential values on which we all depend: facts, the pursuit of truth, and the fight against misinformation.
And for the news abroad, here's Stephanie C. live from Hong Kong. Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening, Diego. Hundreds of police officers are hunting a gunman after 3 people were killed and 12 others were wounded in a shooting in the eastern French city of Strasbourg. The suspect, who was known to security services, escaped after exchanging fire with soldiers and armed police on Tuesday. He is believed to be injured. The shooting happened close to a popular market near one of the central squares. France's counter-terrorism prosecutor has opened an investigation. However, the motive for the incident remains unclear. Over 100 nations across the globe have adopted the UN-backed global agreement that covers all dimensions of international migration in a comprehensive manner. Beverly Saison tells us why.
More than 160 countries around the world formally adopted on Monday the Global Compact for Migration, despite a few withdrawals and hesitations. Dubbed the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, or GCM, the document was adopted at a United Nations or UN Intergovernmental Conference in Marrakech, Morocco. The compact, agreed upon by the UN member states in July, is the first ever intergovernmentally negotiated agreement to cover all dimensions of international migration in a holistic and comprehensive manner. It lays out a cooperative framework comprised of 23 objectives, with each one containing a commitment and a range of actions considered as relevant policy instruments and best practices. While the majority of the world countries are strongly committed to the agreement, more than a dozen others either chose not to sign the accord or are still undecided. Following in the footsteps of the United States, several countries refused to attend the summit and adopt the compact, including the United States, Austria, Hungary, Chile, Dominican Republic, Poland, and Slovakia. Meanwhile, Bulgaria, Estonia, Italy, Israel, Slovenia, and Switzerland are undecided on whether to agree to the Global Compact. Addressing those countries' concerns, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Monday that the Global Compact on Migration fully respects sovereignty of states. It combines the 2 goals of respecting the interests of the state and guaranteeing the human rights of migrants, the UN chief noted.
Some of the fears and some of the concerns, which have been exploited and maybe misconstrued in some cases, not in all, but in some cases, that people will see their fears allayed. We are not going to start advocating for no borders. We are not going to start advocating for removing the sovereignty of countries over their migration. Absolutely not. Migration needs to be a balanced process. Countries need to feel secure.
According to the United Nations, there are currently some 258 million migrants worldwide, up from 173 million in 2000. UN data show that more than 60,000 migrants have died on the move since 2000. So far in 2018, 3,323 people have died or gone missing in migratory routes, with the majority in the Mediterranean Sea, according to the latest data from the International Organization for Migration. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue.
U.S. President Donald Trump spars with top Democrats over issues on funding for his proposal to build a border wall. Meanwhile, a Canadian court grants bail to Huawei's global financial chief, Meng Wanzhou. Eileen Cerudo tells us why.
In USA, President Donald Trump repeatedly threatened a government shutdown over funding for his proposed border wall in a budget row with top Democrats. During a heated exchange with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, Trump said he would be proud to shut down the government over border security. Lawmakers are seeking to reach a spending deal before some government funding expires later this month. Trump has asked to include $5 billion in the deal for border security. But Senator Schumer and Congressman Pelosi said they agreed to extend funding for the Department of Homeland Security at current levels of $1.3 billion until 30 of September. In Canada, a top executive of China's Huawei on Tuesday evening left the courtroom after being released on bail by a Canadian court while she awaits a hearing for extradition to the United States. As a number of conditions of her bail, Meng Wanzhou will stay in one of her homes in Vancouver, wear a GPS tracking device, surrender her passports, stay under constant surveillance, and observe a curfew between 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Meng was provisionally detained by the Canadian authorities on December 1 on behalf of the United States of America when she was transferring flights in Canada. And in Sweden, Yemen's Houthi movement and the Saudi-backed government on Tuesday exchanged list of some 15,000 prisoners for a swap, agreed as a confidence-building measure at the start of UN-sponsored peace talks. Both parties at the consultations in Sweden, set to last until December 13, have yet to settle major sticking points, including a ceasefire in the port in Hodeida, reopening of Sana'a Airport, and shoring up the central bank. The talks are being held as Western allies press Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, leaders of a military coalition backing the government of Abed Rabbu Mansur Hadi, to end a war that has pushed Yemen to the verge of famine. Delegates said the prisoner swap would be conducted via Houthi-held Sana'a Airport in North Yemen and government-held Sayun Airport in the south, a process overseen by the United Nations and the International Committee of the Red Cross. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV, News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you, Stephanie C. Live from Hong Kong. Despite the pressure, Miss Universe Philippines 2018 Catriona Gray feels positive about the competition. Kath Dumaraos tells us why.
More and more support pour for Miss Universe Philippines 2018 Catriona Gray as the pageant coronation night nears. Catriona remains confident despite the pressure of competing against the representatives of all nations. In an interview with UNTV News and Rescue, she shares her edge among the other candidates.
My creativity and my authenticity, they go hand in hand. I really am passionate about what I do, whether it be in my advocacy work or just in representing my country. I try and go above what's expected of me. I am not just the girl that would be like, oh, okay, you're requiring this, I'll just give this and I'm fine. I say, no, how can I go above that? How can I go above that standard?
Catriona's fighting spirit was also challenged during the national costume competition. The Miss Universe Philippines vet shares she feels positive about how she handled it.
I was proud of myself in that moment because all of this happened just before I stepped out on stage. My lights aren't working. I can feel that I'm going to have difficulty pulling this. Or I can take inspiration by what is on my body from the Filipino people and just go out there and give my everything. And that's what I did.
Catriona draws inspiration from the Filipinos and thanks them for believing in her.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat for all of your support, your love, your energy that you've put into my journey, and for never ever giving up on me, always believing in me. You guys give me that strength, that morale, that spirit to do what I do, and I lift this all up to you, and I love you so much, Philippines.
Miss Universe 2018's coronation night will be held at December 2017 at the Impact Arena, Muang Thong Thani, Bangkok, Thailand. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue, Bangkok, Thailand.
And those are the reasons behind the news, December 12, 2018. On behalf of Rheena Villamor-Camara, I'm Angelo Castro III, because we need to know. We will always ask why. Good evening.
UNTV, your public service channel.